Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us tonight at another GoDaddy Pro EMEA meetup. Today's topic is very hot. For all those who will be watching this as a recording later, we're going to be talking about a possibility or let's say a trend of automation, which also comes for shopping online experience. So today's guest is Sal Samson. Hi, Sal. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. Thank you for having me on.
So today's guest is an eminent marketeer. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself, and his life experience actually shows that he's the valuable person to speak to when it comes to shopping behavior, especially now in the online times. So, and after that, we will jump into more stories and more discussion about general automation of shopping and what about the behavior that can be very funny and some circumstances outside that we all live in. So let's see how all this smash and jam, how actually the whole chaos is working. So how the chaos works, Sal Samson. Thank you very much, Sal, for joining us. Tell us something about yourself and let's kick off this meetup.
Perfect. So I've been in e-commerce my whole career. I started off working for an e-commerce retailer as a teenager, straight from school, and I grew with their company from pretty much a startup to quite a large-sized SME. Whilst I was working there, I used to head up their technology team, so I used to manage their full e-commerce capability, and that moved on to order management, warehouse management, accounting, software. After a couple of years working at that organization, I moved on to work at Wunderman Thompson Commerce, who are a global e-commerce agency. And whilst working there as a consultant, I had the opportunity to work with many global e-commerce retailers. So I worked with Audi, the car brand, Net-a-Porter, Selfridges. Whilst I was working there, I also set up my own independent design and development agency, which is where I started to work with many small retailers. As opposed to the large ones, which was where I learned a different set of skills. You have to do more with less, as opposed to when working with enterprise customers where you've got a lot of resource and sometimes the smallest changes make a big difference. So whilst working with both the small and large companies, I realized there are some common denominators, which was they're all trying to build better customer experiences, and they're all looking to connect more with their consumers and increase the amount of revenue they can generate from the same subset of customers, which is how I've moved on to found my company Verbo. So Verbo looks at how we could increase revenue for retailers by making it easier for consumers to replenish goods that they frequently purchase. So it's kind of, we're flipping the subscription model as we know it on the head. So rather than customers receiving products automatically, they can subscribe to receive them on demand, so they only get products as they request them. So that's me in around 20 seconds.
Yes. Thank you very much for the introduction about yourself. The whole topic of online shopping is very hot. I mean, nowadays, I don't think there is a house from which actually something hasn't been bought online. Maybe a year or 2 years ago, that wasn't the case, but with the transforming times, the economy is transforming as well. So if we talk about online shopping, could you tell us what's your experience? Which part of it could be automated and which part actually is not possible to automate?
So I think it largely depends on the type of products that you're selling. So for example, if you're selling high quality SLR cameras, well, you're probably not going to be able to automate the actual purchase of that product because it's a considered purchase. Consumers are going to be looking into different models. They're going to be looking into different vendors or companies where they can purchase the product from, and there are going to be many different elements that will contribute to that purchase decision. I think automation can occur within this, the kind of the more frequently purchased, cheaper products, so fast-moving consumer goods. I think that's where the large opportunity lies for repeat purchasing and automating that.
That's nice. So basically, if we talk about industries, we can see that there is no industry where online shopping behavior can be automated, right? Where we can expect some turnarounds as per the flow and that it's still open. So tell us more about when it comes to subscriptions, I mean, being one of the automated shopping behaviors, right? You guys were trying to solve this issue of subscriptions not being totally like implemented within the businesses as a profit-making concept. So tell us more. What's your opinion? How do you think the shopping experience will change with Verbo?
So fundamentally, when you think about the purchase life cycle, typically what will happen is consumers will become aware of the fact that they need to purchase a product. They'll then go through a consideration phase where they'll consider the different products, consider the different options, and then they'll move into the purchase phase where they'll actually place that order. In terms of subscriptions and automating that purchase behavior, I think it's not really automating the first two steps, which is awareness and consideration. I think it's all about focusing on the final part of that purchase life cycle, which is that purchase. So when we think about e-commerce and how e-commerce websites work, they're pretty much all the same. They all have a home page, they all have a category page, they all have a product page, they all have baskets, they all have checkouts. And every time you want to place an order, you'll typically go through that same process, whether you're a first-time customer or a repeat customer. So I think the benefits of, or the opportunity for automating behaviors and how it can work is by automating or improving the experience for that final part of the life cycle, which is just that purchase. So with Verbo, customers can purchase or place an order for a product on the first time they access the website, but subsequent orders, they're just requesting more products with a single click. They're not actually going through the regular process that a first-time customer would access.
All right. Well, that sounds interesting. Do you have something to show us when it comes to it? Or
yeah, Satya, do you have that coffee tin at the desk? So this is our first customer. We always fall back to them. So they're a coffee retailer based in London. And as opposed to implementing a subscription model where customers receive coffee every few weeks, they realized that they could kind of get ahead of their competitors if they gave their customers something branded. So they created a coffee tin, and we slapped on an NFC tag along the top. So pretty much whenever you're running low on coffee, you just tap the tin, you tap your phone on the tin, and then we launched an instant app or an app clip experience that allows you to reorder in a couple of taps. This technology doesn't require an app to be downloaded, and it doesn't force you to visit a website either.
That's interesting, right? And have you heard from the customers? I mean, did they like it?
So Complex Coffee are currently getting new boxes in that they can fit those tins in to dispatch to their customers. So this is hot off the press. It's pre-launch at the moment. So yeah.
I like the approach because actually it's a branding positioning within the houses, right? So each that brand will get its own position within the house and will have some value of actually being there all the time. So if we talk about subscriptions, are we talking about emotion, creating a brand emotion, or it's necessity, or what type of emotion actually Verbo is targeting with the customers and this type of?
So we're really targeting the convenience, and which is okay. Have you heard of the Fogg behavior model?
No, tell me more about it.
So Fogg is a researcher, and he looked into the psychology behind behavior change, and he came up with a concept of 3 elements that will cause you to change your behavior. So the first one is motivation. So you need to have motivation to perform an action. You need to have the ability to perform that action, and that ability, or the ability to perform action, needs to be as easy to do as possible. And then there needs to be a prompt, so there needs to be a trigger that causes you to make that change. So when we apply this model to commerce, or specifically to this brand, the motivation is that you want to drink more coffee. The ability to do this is our app. We're making it really easy for customers to reorder coffee. And the prompt, the trigger, is the fact that you're running low on coffee. There's no coffee left, I need to reorder. So using a mix of those 3 elements, we're kind of hoping that we can drive the behavior change that will kind of cause consumers to buy in this way. I think with subscriptions, as we know them, where you'll subscribe to receive coffee every 2 weeks, retailers kind of talk about how subscriptions bring them closer to customers and how they can kind of gain that connection with consumers. I think consumers are quite savvy nowadays. We're not really fooled by that. And we all know that it's just a way for us to be roped in to spend more money with a brand. And when you talk to retailers that have tried to implement subscription models, I was talking to a company based out in Australia, and he said he tried to implement subscription models for his business. And the whole concept of take 5% or 10% discount if you subscribe didn't fool his customers. And his customers were like, well, that 5% discount actually equates to £1. That pound is not worth the hassle of me having to manage that subscription. And I therefore just prefer to order on demand. So we're looking at basically taking that subscription model, but rather than forcing customers to say, we don't want this product and cancel or pause that subscription, we just allow customers to say, yes, I do want it, and then we send it.
I'm on mute, right? So what does that actually mean when it comes to, let's say, somebody who's making, I don't know, AT, right? So he has a company and he would like to approach you. What are the business benefits that this company gets other than being in the house and branding? I mean, is there like a proven profit pool that you guys created? I mean, how people are responding to this type of advertising at the same time and ordering? I mean, what can a small company expect from, let's say, this type of solution?
So because we're kind of so early on in our journey, we've got 3 customers that are going live. So we haven't got statistics that we can definitively say this is how these customers this is the kind of the increase or the change in revenue that they've received, because we haven't got their stats yet. But we're basing our product decisions based on commonly known statistics, such as the quicker the purchase journey, the higher the conversion rate is going to be, the less friction you push in, you provide your customers, the higher your revenue is going to be. One customer that we're talking to also quite like the fact that using a physical product allows you to cut through the marketing noise. So right now it feels like marketing is all about who can shout the loudest and who can grab customers' attention. Everyone's fighting for our attention. And having this, which is just a tin on your countertop, or however it is, and it could just be a QR code or it could be an SMS that's sent to you. It's a more subtle way of interacting with consumers.
Correct.
So it's not as though it's an email that you may ignore.
Correct. And this service, would you recommend it to like small and medium enterprises? I mean, website developers and designers, they're in contact with many different type of SMEs and huge corporations. And who would actually be the representative client for such business of what Verbo is trying to put in the market?
So yeah, I think any small business can see some benefits with this.
All right.
It's any business that wants to connect with their customers and sells a product that's typically replenished or purchased multiple times. Okay. And what will happen is you'll find a customer, you'll sell to them. And then when that replenishment has to happen, if you're not on the subscription model, your customer will need to find your website again, and they'll need to add the product to the basket, and they'll need to check out again. And each step in that journey has the inherent risk that they may just get distracted. They may see an ad from a competitor and buy from somewhere else. So using our product where it allows you to just buy in a couple of taps reduces the risk of a customer bouncing or a customer going to a different brand.
Correct. What is it?
Pretty much any.
Oh, sorry, there was a cut. I thought you finished. Please finish.
Yeah, so it's pretty much any business of any size that sells fast-moving consumer goods.
Very good. So that also includes services, right? Because you can also do that like for the gas services. I mean, here, like in Europe, we're buying these small gas containers, and like every 2.5, 3 months, I have to change the bottle. So it would be something that I would replenish anyway. So it can apply to many different types. That's very interesting. Could you tell me something about the platform that you're using? So is it a QR code? What is being scanned from the mobile, or how does it work?
So essentially, we're using something called Instant Apps, which works on Android, and App Clips, which work on Apple. So these two products, well, Android have had it for around 4 years, and Apple released it in October 2020. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to access a piece of app functionality without having to download the app itself. And these experiences, so they're very rich experiences because they're an app rather than a website. And these experiences can be launched in a variety of different ways. They can be launched from tapping on an NFC sticker. It can be launched by scanning a QR code. It can be launched by clicking on a banner on a website or through a link, through a URL. So in the case of those gas canisters, it could simply be a QR code that's printed on the canister. That would allow you to launch this experience.
That's awesome. I still have plenty of, oh, sorry, my internet is again, there's something happening. I still have plenty of questions, but I see that Alan is kind of like thinking. Alan, do you have some questions? Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, good to meet you.
Hey. Come off mute here. Yeah, I guess one of my questions, you talked about instant apps. I've never heard of them before. So you're saying that instead of me, say, downloading the Costa Coffee app, which I did the other day and put my card on it or the rest of it and actually paid for my coffee with the Costa Coffee app, I wouldn't actually have to download an app just by scanning the QR code on my barbecue gas canister. It would download this little app instantly that would then allow me to hit OK to reorder. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. And then once you've ordered the app kind of disappears and it's there again when you need it.
Okay, so where's the security with that then? Because obviously I wouldn't want to, you know, my grandson to come along and order 50 gas canisters for my barbecue by picking up my phone.
So the QR code itself doesn't contain any information about you. All it does is it launches the experience and kind of it shows the shop's products. So if you're logged in, then it would, on your phone, then it would show you the products that you'd frequently order, and it would allow you to just replenish quickly. So for that complex coffee company, they've actually got individual IDs on each NFC tag. So we can show you your product, but we can only charge you if you go via Apple or Google Pay. So no one can order it without your explicit consent. And if I'm scanning your card, it would go through my bank account rather than yours, because it's all based on the device rather than the QR code. The QR code or the NFC tag is just a trigger to the experience.
Yeah, just being an old person, I've never bothered paying enough for a phone to have an NFC tag working on it. So I always go for the cheap mid-range phones.
Yep. So I think that's why they kind of Android and Apple know that, and they've given us multiple ways to do this. So you can launch it through a QR, you can launch it through a text message. So one thing we're looking at building is the ability for customers to say, remind me to buy it in 6 weeks' time. And then rather than you having to visit the website and go through the whole purchase journey as though you're a first-time customer, you can just tap on the link and say, send me more.
Yeah. Water softener salt, that's what you need to get into there. That is something where you definitely need to have it delivered, 25 kilos a bag, you know. And when you run out, you just want to go, get me some more. Yeah,
and your consumption may not be regular. You may use it based on how much water you've used. And that, I think, is the biggest pitfall in the subscription model as we know it, which is it's currently tied to time. So you'd subscribe to get the salt every 4 weeks, but that doesn't reflect how much you've actually used. So we're looking at that on-demand model where retailers still have consumers subscribe to them. Consumers also get the improved experience of not having to go through a website to buy every time, but it also puts consumers in control.
That's awesome. Alan, I have for you. Have you subscribed to anything? Are you a subscriber to anything that comes regularly?
Not really. No, because it's that whole issue of, you know, would you get too much of it? You know, in my area, quite a lot of people used to subscribe to the Sunday Times Wine Club, you know, and you get 12 bottles a month or whatever, but, you know, you get a random selection that you don't particularly want. My children have done flowers for my wife where it's come. We get a bunch of flowers for 3 months. you know, one a month in the post. That was okay. But no, I haven't subscribed to anything myself. But I would definitely be excited about the ability to just be able to reorder something. I mean, like personally, I'm a member of Amazon Prime because it's just so easy to get something, you know, click, it's done. That's the way I like to shop.
Amazon have kind of tackled it from different approaches. So do you remember Amazon Dash? So they had those buttons that you could press. And they stopped that a couple of years ago and it had mixed feedback. So some people had concerns such as the ones you voiced before, which was what happens if my child just presses it 10 times, or pressing that button means that I get a product, but I wouldn't know how much that would cost me or if it's in stock. So we're trying to replicate that experience, but with a screen with an interface, so you're in control of the actual purchase and you see how much you're spending and you know when it's going to arrive, but without the bump. And Amazon as well, they've got their subscribe and save model. So they're trying to tackle consumers of all types, people that are fine with subscribing. And they've got buy again for people that don't like subscribing, but just want that quick replenishment journey. So it's really interesting looking at Amazon because they haven't just settled with one way. They're actually using multiple methods to try and capture as much of the market as they possibly can. So I've always found them quite interesting to watch. They've also released the Amazon Dash shelf. So it's like scales that you can put product on, and then when it reaches a certain weight, it will just automatically reorder, which I found to be quite interesting.
Oh, that's quite interesting, yeah. Do you think the subscription model is a younger generation thing? You know, older people like myself are more skeptical of.
I used to think so. I used to think so until I was talking to my mother-in-law about subscriptions, and I asked her, "Do you subscribe to anything?" And I honestly expected her to say no. And she just pulls out the phone and she shows me her Amazon account, and she's literally subscribed to over 50 products. So like all her household goods she's just subscribed to. And she says, if I receive too much, if I receive too little, it doesn't really matter because it's easy for me to manage and I'll ultimately end up using all this product. So I used to think it was a generational thing, but I think convenience plays a large factor. So she doesn't want to spend time just going to the shops or reordering stuff. So she'll just subscribe. But I think it also depends on the type of subscription. So subscription boxes where you get the wine delivered every month, and every month it's 12 different bottles. I think they're kind of quite gimmicky. And I think that could definitely be a generational thing. But the replenishment model, which is all based around convenience and access, I don't think generation has much to do with it, or has as much as I used to think it did.
Yeah, I see when I order some replacement batteries on Amazon or whatever, they try and push, you know, subscribe to get another pack of A3s, you know. I don't know when I'm going to run out of batteries.
Yeah, exactly. I call that the convenience discount.
I also have a question. Subscription is usually not a bundle, but could subscription also mean bundle as well? I mean, usually you subscribe to one thing, like to a newsletter or to something, but how about bundling things and products? Now that you mentioned, I just got inspired to ask you, did you guys experiment with that as well?
So I know there's a company in the UK called, I think they're Able & Co. So they sell a fruit and vegetable subscription. And they'll just send out a box of fruit and veg every week to you, unless you specifically ask them on a weekly basis to give you specific products. So you could subscribe to a selection of products, but if you don't tell them what you want, they'll just send you a variety of, or a bundle of different fruits and vegetables that week based on what they have.
Alan, tell me if you have experience with this company, because we don't have this experience here, and actually maybe we do, but I'm not such a good cook, okay?
I think my mother used them for a while, getting a box of vegetables. And in fact, my brother-in-law ran a business like that, where he was giving boxes of organic vegetables to restaurants, and they got what he delivered. You know, every week he would go and drop the organic vegetables, whichever happened to be there, to the restaurant. So those models do exist. And the other thing in the UK, of course, is that we used to have, and it's just come back because of the pandemic, big time subscription model for milk, where you have a milkman deliver the milk, 3 pints a day, dropped on your doorstep. And that disappeared totally, but because of the pandemic, it's actually come back quite big.
But I think that model is also quite interesting, where you'd only get more milk if you'd leave your glass bottles out. So it's kind of, again, you're in control of that subscription. The milkman is only giving you milk when you need it, as opposed to there's 3 bottles every single day, unless you tell them you don't want it.
That's right. And then a little note in it if you want an extra one.
Exactly, yeah. I love like the circular economy, especially like the element of recycling. So that old model where you'd receive milk in glass bottles, eliminating plastic waste. It's a great model, and it's good to see it coming back now.
Yeah, there's a huge plastic generation point actually issue worldwide, because everything's being delivered, and even if the customs in packing, now it's double packed and double wrapped, so there's even more pollution. I also wanted to ask you, when it comes to subscriptions, you've been thinking about this question, like how to bring them more to be appealing, better working, and what do you think? I mean, the austerity times have come, and I'm sure the crisis will continue, and we will not, globally, we will not be fit as we were like 20, 30 years ago for some time. So what do you think of the subscription in the coming time? Do you think people will be able to spend more, or they will be actually thinking about their money and really investing and looking for cheaper prices more than before? How does the whole, this new type of economy, crisis economy, work with subscriptions?
So it's a very interesting question, and I think there are like multiple directions in which you can take it. So I think right now we're in this state of flux where no one quite knows what's going to happen, and we're all in a different situation to the ones that we're typically used to. So I know in the UK specifically, subscription sales have skyrocketed. But when you look into it and you look at the data and you think about why that's happened, it's pretty much because people were trying to stockpile, which caused stock reductions. So people subscribed as a way to get access to products they couldn't otherwise buy in the shops. And as well, during lockdown, a lot of people have started to spend more money online because they're spending less money going out drinking, going out to eat. They've spent less money buying clothes and makeup because they're not going out anymore. They're just staying at home, and people kind of want to treat themselves. But that's looking at one sector of consumers. I think on the flip side, people have been seriously impacted financially, and therefore need to consider, or definitely are, reducing this expenditure. And I think that overall, people have definitely become more savvy with what they spend their money on. People, if they are buying online, now have more time to search and get themselves good deals. And I think subscriptions has to change. I think the model as we know it won't last, because people aren't going to put up with being charged automatically and having to tell retailers when they don't want to be charged.
Very good. Could you tell me whether a coupon could be part of subscription? What do you think about combining coupons and subscriptions?
So we currently do it. The subscription model now has like the subscribe and save model. So it's like if you subscribe to buy more from a retailer, you'll get a discount because you're buying more. So we do have discounts in the model, but I think it really depends on the type of subscription. If it's about convenience, then consumers may not mind paying more because it's a more convenient service. Whereas if it's used as a way to convince people to subscribe, then I don't think that will scale, and I don't think that will last.
Correct. Interesting. To understand how, what's your opinion? Because what we hear these days is coupons and subscriptions. Whenever you say subscription, you think of you're gaining something. Okay, so you're not subscribing for nothing, you're actually getting something. So even coupons and stuff. So I was thinking, like, would it be possible that, but then again, it comes all to, actually, before I moved to this, there were a couple of introductions, I'm not sure if those were actual concepts or products where the fridge would actually let you know how much milk is left and whatever, you know. And, do you know anything about this technology? Sorry to bump into with this question. I just now remembered. Maybe it's a good time to talk about it as well.
Yeah, so Internet of Things. How can smart devices change your shopping behavior? And I think, so that's also something we've been kind of looking at from the sidelines. Is it worth looking into and bringing a product to market that can help retailers sell in those ways? So we were thinking about selling laundry detergent on subscription, where we refill your detergent every 24 washes, as opposed to every 2 weeks. Or you connect to your smart fridge and then we top up your milk, or we tell the milkman to deliver more when you've got less than a quarter of a bottle left. But I think it all boils down to convenience. So how much time and money does that save you compared to just going out to the supermarket? So I'm quite spoiled. I live in a complex of flats in London and I have a Tesco downstairs. It's literally 30 seconds away. So I don't do much online shopping. I just go to the shops whenever I need products. So to me, having a smart fridge that can automatically order more milk doesn't actually save me much time, because going out to the shop is really quick and easy for me. But I think for others, there could be some benefit in it, especially if it's ordering much more than just your milk.
Hey, what if you have 3 kids, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
And if you
I just realized I do subscribe to something. I subscribe to printer ink. I pay HP a monthly fee, and my printer dials up HP when it runs out of ink and it comes in. And I do that because it's cheaper and it's convenient.
Yeah. So do you pay per sheet that you print?
Yeah, you get 50 sheets. I do very little printing. You get 50 sheets a month for £1.99. It's nothing, you know.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go up, if you need to print more, you can change your subscription up for a month, or you pay per sheet, you know. But I've seen that about 40% of the price. So it's like,
and it's convenient, and it's because they're billing you based on how much you're using.
Yeah.
I didn't press print. I didn't press print for 1.5 years.
Yeah. And then you need a new cartridge because it's dried out, and because you've been on a subscription, they give you a new one. So, yeah.
But that's
my washing machine can order detergent if it wants to. Well,
does that go through Amazon?
I don't know. It's a EMEA, but it's just got cartridge. It tells my phone anyway when it's run out.
So what's the security point of these smart devices being in the houses and open to, with IP address, you know, open to, I don't know, attacks?
Like any security, isn't it? It's the, if you've got it available on that external server, then it's whatever security levels you have, passwords, authentication, it's the same as anything. I have my heat pumps and my gas heating, and I've coded my own bit of code that decides what I'm on a 30-minute tariff on the electricity, so that varies every 30 minutes. So I've got a bit of code that reads the tariff and decides what's more efficient, electricity or gas, and switches them on and off. That's great.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool.
It's clever, yeah.
Yeah, I think 5G could help with that. I think part of 5G is the technology is called 5G or network slicing, I think it's called, where you can allocate certain areas of the network for specific types of devices or to specific people. So I think the plan is for there to be a separate slice that only allows IoT devices to communicate with one another. But I think it's...
generally you have ad hoc networks within your home. Once the device connects to your Wi-Fi, it can only talk to your own devices within your own network, and you have to sort of authorize that before the device can talk to someone else's stuff. So I think you're fine. I mean, as long as your router security is all right, and you haven't opened your router for anybody to connect to your Wi-Fi, then you should be fine. I have a couple of Dyson air purifiers at home, which basically, so they only have one button on them, and it's that one button to turn it on or off. Every other control is basically through an app or through a remote control. And we've already lost one remote control with a little kid in your home. You have no idea where the remote control is. So we use our phones for it most of the time. But yeah, you can be sure that if you're buying a standard device like a proprietary device, your security is fine.
Yeah, it's fine within your, as you say, within your local area. And then if you authorize it to go out linked to a third-party server, which is where you can use your app from away from home, which is basically how it works. But actually, one of the hardest things of my little bit of software controlling the heat pumps is detecting which device it is, what its IP address is, because they can change. So you basically have to rattle through all the IP addresses, making an API call and see whether you're getting the right response to work out.
I mean, why I'm asking this? It's scary. I was listening to Frank Abigail, the guy who actually created Catch Me If You Can, so in his experience of how he was hacking things and stuff. So I was like, when you mentioned Internet of Things and smart devices, I'm like, no, Frank said it can be hacked.
I just want to say I've got one device that operates, but it only operates by Bluetooth, and it doesn't actually connect to the so it can operate it by an app on Bluetooth, but it won't connect to the rest of the LAN because it's not Wi-Fi enabled, and that's my toilet. Seriously, it's Bluetooth enabled, but at least I know it's secure.
No, totally. And private.
You can tell I've got quite a few geeky things here. In fact, my fridge is really old, but virtually everything else is connected. The extractor hood for the kitchen, which tells me when the grease filters are full up and need cleaning. I mean, everything is.
Alan, you know what? You need to tape this. You need to record this for us to see how much of your life you automated. And we want to see if these machines are actually helping you. Can you do this for us?
I'm not sure they help, but they're fun.
Totally great. So we've been talking a lot about goods, right? When it comes to subscription or about some materialistic benefits. How about services? How about, for instance, cleaning of the house, right? This is something what I would think that it would come easily as if you give me to subscribe to cleaning of my house once a week, I'm in, where do I need to sign? And that's it. So how about your concept is also for this type of customers. So let's say I'm a web designer and I have like 20 clients. They're in different industries. One is in the bakery, the other is in, the other is in I don't know, house appliances and whatever. So I'm also, besides being their designer and maintaining their website, I also should give them some advice when it comes to increasing the visibility, creating some loyalty programs and stuff. So where they can find more information about Verbo, and if you can share a page maybe now with us of Verbo, where they can read more, and how is there something what they could read to understand actually the business proposal behind your concept, which they can later on see fit with some of their clients, right?
Sure. So let me just share my screen, and I'll try and do one better. Try scanning that QR code.
We're playing. I'm in.
There you go. Give it a go.
Treat yourself to branded Verbo merch. I like it.
There you go. Just place an order, we'll refund it. And then we'll send you the goods.
Oh, I love it. I think that the experience is really nice.
Thanks. So this is you obviously have never purchased from us before, so this is the first time experience.
Correct. And I love it. It's really neat. The products are beautifully displayed. And if I choose holographic, £1. Buy with iPay. So about buying, so if so I can only buy with iPay, with Apple Pay. I cannot buy with my credit card or something, or I have to put it in.
You get it through Apple Pay, yeah.
It has to go through Apple Pay. All right, so it's not a guest shop.
So we're working on the ability to take credit, to kind of store your details on our system for the first time that you buy, so that if you're not using Apple Pay, you can still use it. But that's in our roadmap. So ideally, we want to get to the place where you can just press send now, as opposed to buy with Apple Pay.
I really love it. So you have two types of QR codes, right? This is the one that you guys.
This one is a regular QR code, and this is Apple App Clips.
Okay.
So that one Apple released in October. Well, actually, App Clips was released in November. So I think you're going to see this more and more now because it's just launched.
So basically, what you guys will do one day, you will just make a huge online shop all over the city. You will just put these QR codes, and everybody's going to be shopping instantly in your shop, right?
Possibly.
Possibly.
So we actually, when we started this business, we didn't think like that. We specifically didn't want to build a marketplace. We wanted to give this as a platform for retailers to be able to just sell directly to their consumers with. And we didn't want to have any interaction with consumers. We just wanted to provide them with a good experience. So we started work with WooCommerce. So we're fully integrated with Woo. So if you place an order, that will go through to our WooCommerce backend and we'll fulfill it in the usual way. So just go straight onto our website, give us your website address, and you click Get Started. And we will then connect your payment processing account and give you a plugin that you install onto your WooCommerce site. And then we pull in all the products. We submit the experience to Apple and Google, which takes around, takes us around 5 to 10 minutes to do. It takes them a couple of hours to process, and then you're ready to go live.
All right, so
Here's signing up over here.
Sorry.
It's as quick as signing up over here.
All right. And do you have like packages, or how does it work? Do you have different approach to different clients? Is it tailor-made or it's fixed?
So we do a revenue share model where, dependent on volume, we charge a percentage of revenue that goes through the platform.
All right. So I think that's reasonable. And as long as there is a lot of purchase, it should be all good, right? So what type of data you storage? I mean, nowadays there's a lot of fuss about where we keep our data, and international agreements and local agreements and government agreements and all these disagreements all of a sudden, you know?
Yep.
So how does this work?
Should I hand that one over to you, Satya, seeing as you're the CTO?
Yeah, sure. Hand the easy questions to me, right? So in order to provide the whole ShopClip experience, we need access to the products data, we need access to customer data and orders data. So basically the three main pillars. So which is why we have made sure that, you know, all our infrastructure is, you know, fully compliant. It's GDPR compliant as well. We listen to webhooks from the different platforms. So once the customer is deleted on your end, we delete the customer record on our end as well, stuff like that. So yeah, there it is. We're GDPR compliant. We have a privacy policy that explains exactly how we use the data that we store. Yeah, and we are continuously keeping it up to date.
This is great because not all the solutions that are available in the market guarantee that they're up to date with current legislations worldwide. And sometimes, even though you have a tool or a service, you still have to give additional effort and write the disclaimers and explain to customers and check with your lawyer. And it's, you know, it's very good if you guys have actually thought of all of it and just, you know, cut the hassle for some people who really just need to make money out of it instead of understanding the whole political and civilization story, right? So, Alan, Lisa, would you guys have additional questions, or we can move on?
What was the address, the website address?
It's verbo.ai.
We will write it. Yeah, you can put it in the chat. That's cool.
Yeah, and those premium face masks, that was quite interesting. Where did you?
Printful.com. They're like a.
No, it's my daughter actually. She's got a WooCommerce. She makes premium face masks in Harrogate, and she's got a WooCommerce site. I think I might get her to stick some QR codes on her face mask. It's a good idea.
Definitely. I mean, we've ordered in some samples of those. We need to test if the QR code actually works because it may be folded over. So.
True. I also have a question about accessibility. I'm sure I think that this type of thinking and the knowledge that you guys are putting in could be also useful to people with challenges. So I believe soon I don't know if you have already worked on accessible points and understanding. So when people are shopping online, if they are blind, that they are actually able to hear what they're buying. So is there did you guys give improvement there or still waiting?
So something that's quite interesting in terms of accessibility is voice shopping. So Alexa, Google Assistant, Siri, we actually started off looking at using voice and chat or conversations as our primary way to connect with customers. This was around 1.5 to 2 years ago that we started off doing this. And that was our first product that we started work on. And in our back pockets, we've got this AI that's now gathering dust. But it was basically an AI chatbot that was trained to facilitate transactions. So unlike other chatbots that you talk to, which would use words to understand what you're saying, we created a model that could look at the words, but also use the data that we had around you to form a decision around what it is that you'd want to do. So for example, if somebody would say, can I return a t-shirt? Currently AI would look at return and t-shirts. So they may present you with like the returns process. But based on the data that we have around you, if you're a new time customer, you'd probably be asking, well, what's the returns policy? Whereas if you're a returning customer who's actually ordered a t-shirt, you probably want to actually facilitate that return. And our chatbot was able to kind of converse with you and actually perform the action. So it was able to connect to you, whichever systems you were using, and print out the shipping label and send it across to you. And we were looking at how we could use that to sell products as well over Alexa, over Siri, over Google Assistant, because I think there's a large amount of people that can't necessarily use screens and are used to using screen readers that could benefit from this technology. Awesome.
I'm still, you know what? I'm very close to subscribing. Okay, I'm very close to subscribing now after this. After I heard everything, I'm ready. Alan is already subscribed and automated. I have to keep the pace. So I'll need to work on my automation skills very soon. I don't know if Lisa or Alan would have additional questions, but I think we've heard a lot, and I'm sure that this video is going to be replayed many times because it was very interesting. Thank you very much for joining today. We will kindly invite you to come to our next meetup, which is on Monday next week. And we'll be talking about putting WordPress on autopilot, actually Automator WP. It's going to be very interesting. And I hope you guys actually will be coming to see us again. If you have any news and if you are relaunching anything, please let us know. And we would be most happy to actually have you as our guests. Otherwise, I will see you soon, and I wish you very well.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
See you.
Bye-bye.